Hello and welcome to the Huddle. Well, over the last few weeks, we've been speaking to the new head coaches in NBL 22. Chase Buford in Sydney, James Duncan in Brisbane. We spoke to CJ Bruton from Adelaide and Adam Ford in Cairns. And today it's Scott Roth in Tasmania, a man with decades and decades of experience at the highest levels of basketball all around the world, NBA, Europe, international ball, of course, the NBL, and now taken on the challenge of leading the JackJumpers into their inaugural season. Coach, welcome, mate. Good to see you.
Great to be with you and excited about the conversation we're going to have.
You have lived in a lot of places over the journey. How are you enjoying Tassie?
You know, Australia in general has been awesome since the first day I got here, just obviously landing in Perth and being there and then seeing the league from that aspect. But everywhere you go, it's beautiful, and Tasmania is no different. It's a great state. Everyone kind of got me a little nervous about it's cold. But really, it's actually fairly mild for someone like myself who went to University of Wisconsin and grew up in the Midwest where the snow's above your head. So it's actually not been that bad. It's a great place. Hobart's been wonderful. The entire state, I've traveled up and down every weekend just about trying to create some vibe and find out what's going around the state. And it's got a beautiful landscape and just, I think it's a foodie's dream, a bucket list kind of place to go. And I'm excited to be here.
Are you an outdoors man? You've been doing some hiking?
I'm outdoors. I'm actually hopefully going this weekend, if it doesn't rain, fishing up in the Great Lakes there. So I definitely like being out and about and going on walks, and this is obviously heaven for that.
You guys have a head start on the rest of the competition. You're the only team in the NBL right now that has your entire roster not just set in place, but out of quarantine and actually out there on the floor. How's that all going?
Yeah, it's an incredible feeling, to think months ago that we had nothing. And last night, Josh Majette lands in Hobart and completes our 15-man roster. And this morning, I had my first group session with all of them standing there before me. And it's kind of surreal to go through this whole process. It's been a unique deal for me. I had some expectations, but it over-exceeded them in a lot of areas. There's a lot of ups and downs and monumental things during the course of this time. But this morning, to have all 15 standing in front of you that you've handpicked was really a thrill for me.
Let's pause there in the timeline and go back into what you were talking about there. What were your expectations about this journey from the time of signing on? You thought, okay, I'm going to sign on and be the head coach of an expansion franchise, to this point, constructing the roster.
Yeah, I mean, I've been through it, and as a player, I was in the expansion team with the Minnesota Timberwolves. So I got picked in the expansion draft from San Antonio to Minnesota. So I saw it from a player standpoint. And then Tom Thibodeau hired me to create the culture in Iowa when they ended up buying the G League team there and kind of started that from scratch. This has been a little bit of a different animal at the end of the day because, you have kind of everything you need in those situations as a player and then going over there with the NBA money and everything behind it. And literally here, we were buying pens, papers, envelopes, things that you just would not think about during the course of the time of setting up a team that you just assume was already there. The office I'm sitting in was built just a few weeks ago. Doctor interviews, finding knee specialists, finding physios, finding a dentist that I just went to yesterday. All these different things that you think about that are basketball related, but not on the court. It spent about 3 or 4 months just doing all of that to get us up and running, and then try to find some players in the process. So it was a little bigger than I thought it would be, but it's been exciting. It's kept me very, very busy. And every day you wake up, it's a first. Everything we do is a first, and it's exciting times.
You spoke about the ups and downs over that course of that period of time as well. What was one of the big wins you guys have had so far? You're 0-0 historically in a win-loss record, but you've had some wins along the way.
Yeah.
Already. And what was one of the kind of punch the desk moments to say, damn it, we nearly had that, or it didn't go the way we wanted?
I think, one thing with me, my history has been in the NBA is that I'm pretty well connected with players. I get along with them. I just have a good connection with players. And, it's obviously been written about Nick Kay and Mitch Norton and going down the path with them. And I love those guys. I love the Perth culture and everything about it over there. And so it was very sentimental to me to go and try to recruit some of those guys to leave. You know, obviously Clint Steiner left, and we got McVeigh out of there, Jared Bairstow. But, you know, to try to get a Nick Kay at that level to come here and even consider us and get down to the finals with him. And in the last minute, he decides to go to Japan. And then there's a whole process with the Mitch Norton story. But at the end of the day, you know, we were very, very, very close to having him here. And he chose to go a different route. But those were emotional times for me. I'm an emotional guy in general. I love players. I love that environment. That's what I am at the end of the day. I'm a player first and a coach second. And to have those connections with them. And it was a very emotional process for me when they finally said, you know, they're not coming, because there was a lot of roller coasters during the time of we have him, we don't have him, he's in, he might be in. And it was difficult.
Yeah, I imagine it's kind of like a lot of people experience when they're house hunting and they fall in love with the house, right. They put in their application or they're in the auction process and they actually start to picture themselves living in that house. I imagine it's very similar for you in that regard, where you start to picture what this team is going to look like built around a guy like Nick Kay or with a guy like Mitch Norton running the show.
Yeah, I think, you know, too, the biggest thing with me is I was putting this team together was I was trying to get humble and hungry guys. That's kind of been my motto down here. I wanted culture guys right off the bat that would just be about the team and about building this and really wanted to be in Tasmania. And obviously the guys in Perth, the bloodlines and the tradition they've had for 35 years and the people that have been there, what better way to start it with some of those kind of guys that would be here to carry that on. And so, foremost for me was just finding high character guys, and you're always going to want guys that you're familiar with. I don't have a big knowledge of everyone in the league as far as personalities. I had to rely on like a Mika Vakona to get me information on guys. I knew who I liked. I just didn't know about them. And the Perth guys were the easiest ones to know the most about. When you in a locker room and you laugh and you cry and you win a championship, you know, you really know what these guys are about. And so character was the number one thing. And obviously Mitch and Nick Kay are high character guys.
What was one of the moments where you and Simon Brookhouse high-fived in front of the whiteboard after you got off the phone? You know, like there's teams, I think when Melbourne got Daly over the line, or when Southeast Melbourne got Joe Chi over the line recently, when Perth got Vic Law over the line. Did you have one of those moments this offseason?
You know, to be honest with you, we had 15 of them because you just don't know really at the end of the day. You have your heart set on X amount of guys. And the good thing was, you know, of the 8 locals, I probably only had 12 guys that I really was looking at the end of the day. It wasn't a big batch. And to get 8 of those 12 that I wanted, every time we signed one was a high five to me. You know, to get a Will McVeigh, who everyone wanted, that has all the potential in the world to get back to the NBA or get to a higher level, was a huge signing. To get a Josh Adams to take less money and leave the fame and stardom that he's been having over in Europe and where he's been playing, it's a huge get for us. And you have that emotional roller coaster with these guys because at the end of the day, you just don't know if they're going to come to Tasmania. I mean, I'm selling nothing at the end of the day other than myself, the state, and what the potential could possibly be here. And that's a difficult process. You know, they asked me during the process, well, how are we going to play? I don't know. I don't know who's coming. I have an idea what's happening, but I don't know who's coming, you know. So I had a lot of tough questions to navigate with guys to understand that you're coming here because you want to build something. You have a cultural situation here that you can impact for years to come. You have a chance to make a stamp on something that's so unique. And so I tried to sell them on that vision of being Tasmanian, what it means to be here, being in a brand new arena with a great owner. Obviously, Castleman, Larry owning the team was a huge bonus for us to give us the resources. But at the end of the day, it was, I need people that want to be in Tasmania. And there's only a few of them that really, to me, automatically fit the bill of a blue collar, tough kind of minded people that there's a little bit of an underdog maybe here on the island. And we needed the right kind of guys and high character guys.
You've had some of them on the floor for a little while now doing some work. We get excited about who's kind of looking particularly good at this point. Jack McVeigh 12 months ago told me that he had his most improved player award speech written. Well, I think he's kept that in his pocket for now, but I'm wondering how he's looking. Will McVeigh, we're excited about the possibility of maybe a bounce back campaign from him? How are the guys looking on
Yeah,
the
I think
floor?
in general, everyone's doing very well. Obviously, they're all getting acclimated, and Jack's been Mr. Happy basically at the end of the day. Everywhere he goes, people love him around here. He'll be a fan favorite. He's been very steady and very good. I sold Jack on playing the 4 this year, not playing the 3, but be a 4, be the young Jesse Wagstaff of the NBL, to be able to just fit a role, win, be consistent in what you're doing, and buy into spacing the floor and doing the easy things for us. McVeigh is probably 6 to 8 weeks away from actually playing. He just started last week running. So he's in great form. He's lost some weight. He's getting much stronger up above, but he's back down to what I wanted him to be, was active, running, dunking, putting pressure on the rim like he was in Brisbane. That's how he made his name. That's how I first saw him when I started to sell him to the NBA a year and a half ago to my friends. And that's what I want him to do here, keep his game simple. I promised him I'd get a great guard, and I got one, and Josh Majette, who will be facilitating a lot of lob dunks to him I see in the future. And the other guys, Josh Adams has been fantastic here. He's going to be something to watch this year. I think he's going to be one of the most exciting players in the league at the end of the day. And then Nikita just came in, and he's done a few things already. This kind of shake your head and like, wow, this kid's only 20 years old, and he's pretty darn good. So we have a versatile group of guys. They're all working hard. And, we're very excited about where we're going.
You talked about winning before.
Yeah.
Very few expansion teams in the NBL have made the finals in year 1. None of the teams currently, the 9 other teams in the league ever did that. You spoke about your experience at Minnesota, Iowa, their first year as the G League affiliate of Minnesota. At elite levels, it's difficult to win consistently at the best of times. What do you think makes it so hard to do that in year 1 as an expansion team?
Yeah, I've been cautious in some areas and not so cautious in others. And I want to win a championship. I say it almost every single day that I come here when I speak to the guys, and I want to win one this year. If you're in professional sports, to me, there's only one thing at the end of the day, is trying to win a championship. Yes, we want to build a foundation and progress, but why not us? We have the facilities. We have a $65 million renovation of a new arena. We have all the assets we need. We have a great coaching staff, and Jacob Chance from Perth, and Mark Radford, who's a legend here in Tasmania, and Jack Fleming. I have great physios and strength and conditioning coaches. And I hope that they feel like they have everything they need to compete. I think the biggest thing is chemistry at the end of the day. It's 15 new players trying to get into a mix and find some common ground of how we're going to play. That's difficult for any team. But again, why not us? Why can it not be done? No one's given me a really good answer. And I think we have enough guys that I've chose that have a little bit of a competitive edge, that want to prove something, that maybe have been disregarded or looking for a new life, a new start. And that was one of the things I was also looking at. I think the NBL is a unique situation because there's only 10 teams now, and the pool is very small, and all it takes is a maneuver here or there to get the right kind of guy, to maybe find a Bryce Cotton, or to get the next kind of Sobey, or to get McVeigh back to where he's playing. There's a lot of very good players that can just turn the knob just enough. And the other thing I've been preaching here is defense. It's been obviously recorded in the last X amount of years that the teams that are winning are at the top defensively. There's always an outlier, but you have to play defense, and that's been very clearly made to them from day one, that you will not be on the floor with me if you cannot defend and guard your yard and keep guys in front of you. And that will be kind of our MO moving forward. I think you have to have some humble pie along the way. I always mention that, the first year with Southeast, when I came in, they lost 17 of their last 19 games with a pretty talented roster. And this league can be very humbling very quickly, because there's a lot of good coaches and there's a lot of good players. And I think you just have to have some steadiness, a defensive mindset. And again, why not us? We have everything here. We have good players. We have depth. I think it's just one of those things. If you have a little bit of a chip on your shoulder and you handle it the right way, who knows?
Fair. One of the things I think that's been impressive about Southeast Melbourne is making the finals in year 2. I spoke about how hard it is to do in year 1. While you're shooting for the stars, I'll be out there kind of keeping the public expectations low, because it is hard to do. Yeah. But but only one team can win that championship. This is a question I've been asking of people recently, and I'm really interested to see what your response is going to be. What do you think success for the Jack Jumpers in year one, in your eyes, will look like?
Yeah, I think, for me personally, I'm going to have this conversation very shortly next week when we have our first team meeting. But, to be honest with me, success will be for me when I look at Josh Adams in his eyes and I know he's falling back in love with playing basketball again. He was very close to not playing again. Success for me is going to be when McVeigh gets a double-double and we win a game and he spent the last 4 months rehabbing and there's a smile on his face. It's me when Fab walks onto the floor with swagger and confidence that he's a good player and that he doesn't have to look over his shoulder. It's success for me when Sam McDaniels can come on the floor and expand his game with us and be more than just a defender and maybe improve his game, maybe become a boomer. Those little things to me are personal things that I take value in trying to impress upon them that, yeah, I want to win. I'm not completely crazy, that it's very hard to do. But for me personally, it's all about them. And I want to see them love what they're doing, enjoy playing here, love this state, love to compete. And at the end of the day, I just want to see success from some of these guys that maybe have been knocked down a little bit or want to expand their game or just need a little bit more love in general of just nurturing and letting them go play. And so I'm here for that. And that for me is personal success at the end of the day when I can see Jared Weeks, a brand new father, be a great dad, have his wife here loving what he's doing. And at the end of the day, some people have disregarded him and come back and have a pretty good, strong year this year and say, okay, I told you so I could do this. So there's little things to me that are very motivating for me. And those are the kind of things I look for personally.
They're the guys you're going to be working with this year. You've worked with some incredible people over the course of your journey. Let's start with Don Nelson, Hall of Fame coach, winningest coach in NBA history. What was he like to work with?
I met Nelly many years ago in Dallas, and in 30 minutes, he offered me a 3-year contract. And I've kind of been a second son to him. I've kind of been with him most of my career in the NBA, and then got to him at the end of his career. And when I went to Golden State, when we got Steph Curry, and I lived with him that year in his house that entire year. So it was like coming home to your favorite professor in college and getting to pick his brain away from basketball. And I would sit there in the evenings and smoke cigars with him and talk about the games. And it was an incredible last year and making him the winningest coach in NBA history. And the great thing about Nelly was he didn't put a lot of pressure on you. He let you do your work. He was extremely creative. He was fearless in how he approached things. He was just a tremendous guy to be around. And he was a player's coach, and guys loved playing for him. And when I think players love playing for a coach, that's a huge factor in the overall scheme of things. And everywhere that Nelly's been, players love playing for him. And an invaluable experience at my age. He invited me to the Hall of Fame when he went and got inducted, and called my name out on stage and got the trophy with him with a photo. And he's been quite the guy to be around. And he's a big mentor of mine.
My assistants there deserve a lot of credit. Certainly Larry Riley, Keith Smart, Stephen Silas, Russ Turner. Most of them are here tonight. Scott Roth, great young talent. Most of those guys have gone on and become head coaches and have already been successful in their time in the NBA.
We're going to see some Nelly ball this season?
I've said this before, I'll play 5 small guys in a minute. I don't care about size. I care about guys playing unselfish. I love versatile players. I'll play 5 guards, and you'll probably see playing us 5 guards.
Jack McVeigh, undersized 5-man.
Could be.
What about Dirk, Nash, a young Pau Gasol, a young Steph Curry? What's it been like working with these just all-time great, historically great players?
Yeah, Dirk I picked up at the airport in Dallas when he was 18 or 19 years old when he first came in, and that's the first day I met him, and we couldn't believe what we had in our hands. And Steve Nash, we got in a trade through some miracle to get him and Dirk in the same basically time frame. Tremendous guys, high level guys. The biggest thing I take away from all those guys are they're just incredible people. Like, they'd come over for dinner. They're just normal at the end of the day. They love what they do. They've got great work ethic. So I've been lucky to be around those two guys. And then I go on to Memphis, and I get Shane Battier and Pau Gasol the rookie year. And basically Pau gets the rookie of the year that year, and work with him just about every single day. And then obviously Mark, his younger brother's walking around, who's about 500 pounds at that point in his career when he was just a young whippersnapper. And so I was lucky to be in that environment, coach internationally. And then just most recently, I had Kristaps Porzingis in Seville. And he was a tremendous player at 17 and a half years old when I had him, and Willie Hernandez Gomez in Seville. Both those guys got drafted the year I coached there. So I've been lucky to be around some very, very good bigs, some really talented guys. But more importantly, I've been just blessed to be around a Steph Curry and just high character guys that you're always for them. They're just great people to be around. And it's just been, I've been lucky. Listen, I say this story all the time. The last time I worked was when I was 16 years old. I painted fire hydrants in my city for 3 months. That's all I did every single morning. I painted 70 fire hydrants for 3 months. That's the last time I got a check from somewhere else other than this orange ball that's taken me around the world. So I've been very, very blessed and very, very lucky and very humbled by that.
You talked about working with bigs there.
Yeah.
Can you give us a read on Joe Chi?
Yeah, Joe Chi is going to be very good. Obviously I worked with Yao Ming twice, and then this last summer in the World Championships came over and took Gorjan's spot when he left to be the associate head coach for the Chinese national team. So I've known Joe from the NBA when he was there, and then to have him again with the national team. Very skilled, a natural shot blocker, very, very good face-up shooter. His English, I got a kick out of it that he said hello to all the Southeast fans in Chinese, but he can speak English very, very well. So he's kind of playing a little coy with somebody, but he's talented. I think he's going to be exciting for the league. Obviously, he's going to bring in a lot of fans from China. They're just basketball crazy over there in general. And I think it's a very interesting move to have him come over here. And I was actually shocked that he got out of China in the first place. So congratulations to them for getting him over here. And I think it'll be a pleasant surprise, and people enjoy watching them.
Let's finish up with a message to the Jack Jumper fans. Like you said, you've been traveling all over Tassie the last, how long has it been? 4 or 5?
4 or 5 months.
Months. Yeah. Rallying the troops. What is it? The march?
Yeah, the march, anticipation, the march. Yeah.
Getting people to join the march.
Yeah, you're going to hear
tapping into the bloodlines there of Tassie basketball. What's your message to all the basketball loving fans in Tasmania about the Jack Jumpers this season?
Yeah, I think, again, every person I picked, I want to make sure that the state would be proud to have them in state, and that they would represent this state very well, that they could go from the north to the south and be approachable and be able to be talked to, and just be proud of the fact that these guys will play hard. They're great human beings on top of that the bloodlines that I've created here in the last 4 months to integrate the old bloodline with this new bloodline of players that we have, that there's a pathway now, and that the young kids that are around the state, there's something to watch, boys and girls. There's somewhere to go to actually go see a high level basketball game that's not only in Australia, but around the world now. And I think the fans here are starved for something like this. I think we got a unique window with the AFL kind of going through what they're going through. And I think Larry Castleman did a fantastic job of busting the door open and taking advantage of the situation. And the place is a buzz. We're going to play in a very small, very home courtish kind of arena. It's going to be about 4,500 to 5,000 people, brand new. And I think it could be a little pit in a place where people are not going to want to come play. And that's what we're hoping to turn it into.
Awesome, mate. Well, looking forward to it. So excited to see the team up and about, and you've got everyone on floor, and now we just got to get to the start line, tip the ball off, and see you guys go to work. So thanks heaps for the chat, and good luck for the season ahead.
We'll definitely stay in touch, and I can't wait to get going. And the NBL's on a great path, and the league should be really proud of themselves.
Cheers, mate. Speak soon.